it down, like what is a I know some of these terms and like how can one go about either getting into a hedge fund or even creating a hedge fund?
So a hedge fund is just a lot of legalese and ways that you get registered with the SEC so that you can officially and publicly raise capital from people that you know within your community, and honestly, sometimes people you don't know. So a official hedge fund protects you and the investors that you're partnering with. Now, it does regulate the types of deals you can do and the type of people that you can work with. Because a lot of times, when you look at these larger deals, like when you, I know for me, when I heard about Facebook, going public when we were younger, and being a part of Facebook since 2005, I was like, wait, I would have loved to be a part of that. And then a lot of the tech companies that you start hearing about going public, and I'm like, how are these people getting involved? Like, how did they know? And you start looking at the breakdown of how everyone got involved in these deals. And, because I always felt like I was going to be dope enough to be this wonderful, successful, uber rich billionaire. But then it's like a lot of the deals that were happening, it felt like they were happening in the back door. And that's when I learned about accredited investors. That's when I learned these are individuals with a net worth of at least $1 million or greater in your asset holdings, and you have you're bringing in an income of at least 250,000 or more. Now, if you're married and all of that, you can look that up to see what those specifics numbers will be, because they change. But just in general, understanding what an accredited investor was new for me, and understanding that, and this is the way that these backdoor deals are done through hedge funds, through venture capitalists that invest in hedge funds. So you can get your money either way. If you can start a hedge fund and you get money and raise it from the public, or now you can get venture capitalists to invest in your hedge fund, or you can join a hedge fund and join forces and take advantage of all of the things that they have, because they spend a lot of money with the legalese, right? But they can partner with you, and you can pay into a hedge fund that's already created that's seeking venture capitalists, or it has, you can partner with them to bring in other investors. Like we work with a lot of investor groups, a part of our hedge fund, for people that have organized efforts to invest in larger real estate. But the point of this is it has, like I mentioned, we're big on process, we're big on infrastructure. And so it sets the process up of how to do real estate and how to do so effectively and how to do so as a team. It brings us together so that legally we're analyzing these deals and we're making sure that they work for the hedge fund, that we're bringing back enough capital that feeds us as the hedge fund managers, and it also feeds the investors that have partnered into the deal. And also, if you have any venture capitalists involved, you want to make sure that they can get a payout as well. So it helps you to keep things in order and in line, and making sure your process is together. Now, the larger your hedge fund is, the more, the harder it may be to get things done, to move. But because we're smaller, we're nimble. We can do things like take a risk in international investing. We can take a risk in our hotel portfolio that we've been able to acquire here, because we just set the vision of like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is our next step, because that's what we talked about before, setting the vision. Where are we going to go? I set a vision when I got into real estate that I would acquire 1,000 doors. And this is my journey how? Through creating a hedge fund, through bringing together collaborative economics so that we can acquire 1,000 doors. Now, yes, we've acquired a couple hundred so far through hotel acquisitions, but now being able to invest internationally, it takes your money and the experience a lot further. For example, one of my friends who's actually working on a franchise in Mexico, it cost him about $250,000 to open up that same franchise here in the States, from the building to all of the material and all of the costs, plus capital and all of those things. To get started with that same concept and that same project in Mexico cost him $50,000. So it's a fraction of the cost. And then when you start talking about experience, where we're building our resort in Exuma, Bahamas, our micro villas have done amazing here in Atlanta. Amazing. But when you're talking about bringing that to the Bahamas, you get tenfold. You get to bring that same modern build experience, and now you get to bring it to international audience, somebody who may not have experienced that before. So we get to do it differently. And with the marketing that we have and the platform that we have, we get to direct our audience to go down and enjoy, our our property down in the Bahamas, which increases tourism. This is how you rebuild economies. And so, because of that, a lot of people internationally are actually begging for you to come. They're like, hey, calm down, calm down. We need you to bring the development. Why? Because that brings tourism. And with tourism, rebuilds economies. And a lot of these countries that may not have the affluence and the resources and the access that we have here in the States, they gladly appreciate a pinch of it. Like if you can bring a pinch of it, if you can, they know how powerful our social media is. They know how powerful the pictures are. And they're like, if you can bring a pinch of that, we will make any concessions. Like I had another investor telling me about some work that he was doing down in the PR in Puerto Rico. And he was like, they give you 40% back on your ventures. And I was like, wait, what? So how do you do this, right? You start having the conversation. Remember, you take my 3-part formula. But a part of that skill set and know-how, right? So you got the opportunity itself. The opportunity is where you want to invest. And I would invest where you feel the most comfortable and where you have the most contacts and where it's easy to get to. But I want to make sure that you have your process down packed in the States before going out of the States. So we've been developing real estate since 2017. So I've gotten the process down of development. So I was able to take this process down to do the same thing and replicate it in a different market. But once we started doing that, and like I said, from a journalism, I've been sharing my story. So as a journalist, sharing my story online, my partners, I encourage them to share their stories online too. So now we get governments that reach out to us all across the country. I mean, all across the globe. Literally, we've had, some magistrate in Ghana reach out, magistrate in Belize, in Nairobi, in South Africa. People have reached out to us from all across the globe because they was like, hey, we have land. And they understand that with land, which is opportunity, we bring our skill set and know-how. We bring our capital through our partners, and then now we're able to acquire these deals collectively and together. But we have to have a plan of attack. And that's where the process of organization of your entity, of your company to get these deals done, provide solutions, and you can expand your portfolio immensely, especially when you do it with a group and you do it together. If I did all this by myself, I would still be flipping one house at a time. But the power of collaborative economics allows us to do this together. And the power of collaborative thought, like imagine you thinking through a solution, but 10 other people thinking through that same solution with their lens, even more compounds the complexity of the problem you're able to solve. So that's how we're able to do this, through networking, through growing our vision, making it bigger. And the clearer we make it, the more capital we're able to generate and make through our hedge fund and through partnering and collaborating with